What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi and Eric G. Tabor. We're going to be talking through this PGA, the Farmers Insurance Open. I will share my screen and we're going to go tier by tier. I did not have a good week last week. I actually almost had Siwoo. I needed Siwoo to win, basically, but I had a lot of good live lineups going into Sunday, and top 50s and things and stuff. But definitely, we're all hinging on Siwoo winning and Scheffler not winning. So obviously, that didn't work out. Sheets, how did you do? And
I had, as bad as your week was, like mine was like completely soul crushing.
Oh, yours was the worst. I'm sorry.
First of all, I mean, in regular classic slates and other stuff, I actually did okay in a showdown. I made some money, I think. But the thing was that they had this King of the Desert thing, and I remember all the time you put into this. Like, I qualified for this thing like months ago. Okay. And you got 2 seats, and I got 2 seats out of 100 entries going into the first round, which was 100 down to 50, which was the week before. And I played 2 completely distinct lineups from each other, 6, like min-unique 6, just hoping that one of them could kind of get through to the top 50. Mm-hmm. And they both made it through. They won nice, and one was like easy breeze, and the other one got very lucky at the end. So I had 2 go into the final 50. And the final 50 got whittled down to 15. So that was my goal, is to get one of these 2 to the final 15. And then that gets you to the live final, which was actually something I wanted to go to. Like next, it would be next week in Arizona. They have you'd have hospitality suites to the freaking Waste Management Open. And you had the big Super Bowl party as well, Sunday night, not to mention playing for $1 million, whatever the hell it was, right? But like normally I'm like, whatever. But this one I actually wanted to win, and I really sweated it a lot. And I decided that I was gonna. It was between a couple of different approaches. One, I was gonna do 2, min-unique 6 lineups, one with Scotty, one without. Okay, that's the one thing I was gonna do. And then I was thinking maybe I'll do 2 completely unique lineups with no Scotty. And then what I finally decided on was one with Scotty, one without, but both of them had my most confident, pick in there, even though I knew he was going to be popular, because I just wanted to make the top third. So I had both of my lineups with Rick Hoey, okay? And Rico Hoey, if it wasn't bad enough that he was completely incompetent, okay, the first round, he withdrew midway through the second, okay, which is it's bad enough to miss the cut, but to miss the cut that wasn't going to happen till after the third round is like a disaster, because you don't get any of those points. So I was dead from the beginning, and to really put a cupcake on, or a cherry on it, of the 50 entrants, I finished 41st and 47th. Okay, yeah. It was a freaking horrible, horrible thing. So I will get him next time, but it wasn't for lack of trying. But I am Rico Hoey is dead to me until the next time I play, which is gonna be pretty soon. So that was my golf last week. And here's another thing to keep in mind about playing golf and playing 14K guys and playing really high price guys. Like on FanDuel last week, just to give you an example, on FanDuel I broke even pretty much, and that was playing 100% Scotty in my lineups. Okay. And he won the tournament by multiple strokes. Okay. So,
and he wasn't quite as high on FanDuel. He was higher owned. That's right.
Right. But it's not that easy. You know what I mean? Just to get the winner when he's $4,000 more than everybody else. It's just not like that. Anyways, ready to get after it this week.
Well, that's a bummer. I was hoping, I was pulling for that. I was disappointed already when we came on Sunday, but and Hoey was the thing is he was legitimately sick. I mean, that's the word, at least that I've heard. So that's a rough beat. I'm sorry about that one. Anyway, we try to move on. We go to the next thing, and we've got this week, which actually I really like this tournament. I like it better than the Birdie Fest. This is one where player history actually seems to matter some, where you really want long hitters. You want guys who play well on tough courses, which all sounds like a lot of fun to me, especially when everybody's bunched up in the same price range. And really, one guy I think is going to just completely dominate all the ownership at the top. And I think that's it's pretty clear. So what are your thoughts here before we get into each of the tiers?
Well, also before we move on, I mean, what we're going to continue to do as a part of our content this year is we're going to do our one and done selections and stuff. And just to kind of review that, more soul crushing. I had like 35% of my entries was Siwoo Kim. Which I thought he was like, I mean, legitimately, it was like basically 50-50 to win. And then
he was a favorite to win, like going under like the eighth hole or something.
Yeah. Right? So and then he decided to do whatever. So we'll get into that this week as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess 10K and up, the top guy is the top guy on the board is Xander, and makes perfect sense. He does well, and when it's when it's a harder course, he's just a great golfer, and he's rested, I suppose, one way to look at it. And I actually have him rated pretty high. I have him rated actually significantly higher than the other guys. Not that Aberg, Young, and Cantlay are no good. I just think from a pricing perspective, I just think they should, I guess they're projecting more, like worse than Xander. Let's put it that way. So, so I do like Xander quite a bit, and I imagine he's going to be popular, and I guess for good reason.
Yeah, and basically sort of a home game for him. I mean, he's a San Diego kid. These things do matter, I believe, in golf. When you play at these courses a million times, I think that you do have some sort of edge. I think the worst he's finished there is 34th. He's got a second and a third, I believe. I don't think he played last year. I think that was the part he missed, and he had a really bad year. I did not come into this week expecting to play all the Xander, and I'm having trouble, even when I program what I like, not getting to Xander as my highest owned 10K plus guy, which I don't love. I don't feel like there hasn't been anything from him in a while that justifies to me 3 times like the ownership of these other guys. But it is a home game, and he's the best golfer. Well, I mean, I guess depending on what state Oberg's in, or if he's even not sick anymore, we'll see what happens. He's got a press conference today, I guess. But I have it rated Xander, Oberg, Cam Young, then Cantlay. But I have Cam Young, Cantlay, and Oberg all pretty close together. But I do have Xander as my highest owned currently of the 10K pluses. Not sure if I stick with that. But you definitely have some pricing flexibility this week. We don't have a guy 4K more than anybody else. So that's how I've got it rated anyway. All right, 9K range sheets. I think this is a good place to get different a little bit. What do you like here? What are you getting to the most?
Well, the top 2 rated guys are right back to Siwoo Kim from last week's 75% of a good tournament, I guess. Coming off a good week the week before, actually, as well. So he's doing well. I have him projected well. I like JJ Spawn also. And again, these are not particularly earth-shattering takes. I think both of them are going to be between 15 and 20%. And then the next, I have Goddard next. So for me, it would be Kim, Spawn, and Goddard, and then like dropping to guys like Hideki and other and English and such.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because this is a range where I feel like there's going to be there is some definite opportunity to get different. I'm going to force in Jason Day. One, he looked great last week. His game style should suit him very well here, and he's the lowest owned of the guys who I guess he and English. I like a little bit of English too, but he's also won here twice. I mean, it was a million years ago, but this is a course he should play well on, and I thought he looked great last week. So I'm in on Jason Day being my highest owned, along with Hideki in this range. Hideki's always played well here. It also suits him extremely well. This is a part of the tour going into this and then Phoenix that suits these guys really well. So I have it ranked Hideki, Day, basically the same. Then Siwoo, then Spawn. I'm sorry, then Spawn and English I have basically around 14% each. And then Goddard. Oh, sorry, Goddard I have 27% of. So I guess I am getting the Goddard the most. But I forgot about him because he was 9K flat. And by the way, Gotterup, if you just look at his tournament that he's played, this guy, like, does he ever have a bad tournament anymore? It's crazy.
Guy's great.
One of the best golfers in the world, and it sort of came out of nowhere in Scotland last year.
Yep.
All right, 8K range, and we have the return of Brooks, who I thought was going to get some love just for being back on the tour, and people are going to be happy to play him at 8K. I don't think he's going to be that owned. Sheets, do you see that, and what do you like in this range?
It's always a thing of DFS players to just not play Brooks for some reason. He never projects well, as far as I remember. He never projects well. Nobody ever plays him, and he wins. He outperforms his ownership like on a regular basis. I'd like to say that, and it's one of the things. Again, one of the projects that I never really sunk my teeth. Maybe I'll have Gold to do that for me, like just to do the kind of analysis of what players tend to exceed their ownership or outplay their ownership, if there is such a correlation. That's something to look at. I'm not getting there right now. My top two 8K guys are, I guess, kind of tough clicks, I suppose. Like Maverick McNeely, 8,900. Taylor Pendrith coming off a missed cut at 8,700. Like, those are my top two. And then you have three others I'll give you. Your man from last week, who's freaking killed it, freaking Ryan Gerard. 8,600, and then two of your other guys. Actually, one of your other guys. One other. Jake Knapp at 82. Like, he's cheap enough. And then a guy I don't play. Like, maybe I should play more of this guy, but Adam Scott, 8,100. Very reasonably owned. So those are my top 8Ks.
I think this course suits Adam Scott, like, but historically and everything. I'm not getting to much of that one. I'm not getting to much of the Brooks or the. I feel like the Noren one might come back to bite me, but he's not going to be especially high owned. The guys who I'm the highest on in this range are Knapp, Homa, and McNeely, then Gerard. Those are the only four I have above 10%. But I really like I don't know why we wouldn't play Homa. He plays well in California. He was in the disastrous worst run of his career last year when they played this. He's looked good so far. I would like to give Homa the chance, and I actually we'll get into it in one and done. I think this is a very reasonable spot to use Max Homa and take a chance in one and done. He might turn back to the golfer we remember him turning into a couple years ago. I think it might happen, and we'll get to another guy like that in this next range who I like quite a bit.
Well, right. you could start then. Start 7,500 and up. Okay,
actually, sorry. So then it'll be the range right after this is the one I was going to say for that guy. He said he's 7,400. But the guys I like in this range, I'm kind of spread out a little bit. I've got Penge and Stevens as my highest owned in this range. Closely behind Thorbjornsen, which I don't think I'm going to stick with. I didn't ask for any of it. It's just the projections. And I like Thorbjornsen usually. He did kind of let me down last week. I like the Hogards, but they're all right around 10%, except for Penge, Thorbjornsen, and Stevenson for me in the 7,500 to 7,900.
Yeah, I got all these Scandinavian guys, like both the Højgaards and Thorbjornsen. Like, those are my top three, and they're healthily owned as well. And then Sam Stevens, and you had mentioned him. And then the other two, Garrick Higo and Justin Rose. Like, those are my top rated guys. So Højgaard, Thorbjornsen, and the other Højgaard, and then Rose and Higo.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, I guess I do have 11% of Higo. I didn't ask for any, but I did end up with some.
I didn't ask for it, but I got it.
But I got it anyway. All right, I'll jump into this next range because a couple of plays that I really like. I think it's the right thing to do just from a strategy standpoint to be well overweight Thigala at this point. Got off to a bad start and played great coming in last week. I don't know why we are going to just assume that this guy can't play anymore. I think he's going to have a big year. I think he'll be 9K or maybe in the 9K in these kind of fields, 80 something hundred in the top level fields. But I really like the idea of using a good amount of of Thigala. And I want to go right back. I said this to start the year, and I'll keep riding the Pearson Coody breakout as well. The guy who I am flirting with, getting a little crazy with, is Kevin Yu. If you're ever going to play Kevin Yu, long irons, he's not a great putter. He's a pretty bad putter, actually. He's maybe one of the worst. But long irons, good enough off the tee. I think this is a good spot for him. I will play Kevin Yu, Coody, and Thigala as my favorites. And then the next one, who's just the projections love him, Thorbjorn Olesen. But for me, I'd rather have Novak, and who finished second here last year, I believe, and Bezuidenhout. Those are the two that I like the most. The one guy who I'm getting a crazy amount of, who's my second highest owned player, and I don't know why the projections love him this much, is Patrick Rodgers. And I think I'm just going to manually just like bring this number down. I don't know why he's projected this highly compared to these other guys in this range. That's my take. So that's one I'm going to definitely lower my exposure on.
Okay, so first I'm gonna recite what I said last week. Maybe we'll do this a couple of more weeks until he becomes 9K, like you were saying. So as I mentioned last week, it's one of the deficiencies of DFS projection models and services that create them is that they, I mean, it's not completely negative, but they don't rely on the most recent data for their projections, which makes sense. I mean, with these high variance sports, is you want to kind of smooth it out so you have, like a last 12, 18 rounds or something like that. And same thing happens in baseball. In baseball, like with pitchers, you don't want to just use the last two starts. You want to have some kind of historical, some historical average. But what ends up happening is that if there's like a period of time where the guy was either injured or something was structurally different than the way things are now, then the projection models, both positively and negatively, won't account for that. Like if somebody came in like this year off of and they had an operation, they're totally injured, then why would we want to use their results from last year, if they're completely hurt now? Likewise, if someone was completely hurt last year, why do we care that much about how his performance was? And that was what Thigala's situation was. Thigala last year had a bad run because he was freaking hurt, and so from a projection perspective, all those numbers are diluting his skill set. And until those kind of like disappear, he's going to be underpriced for like a while. And last week was, I bet him to win at like 4 billion to 1. You know what I mean? And obviously he didn't win, but whatever. But this is the thing that you can profit from, I think. And I think you could play Thigala every week until he's either 9K or 30% owned. You know what I mean? Or whichever comes first. And right now, you know what I see? I see neither. Like right now, I see 7,400, 7%. I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's good enough for me. So I agree with you. I like that a lot. Now, Patrick Rodgers, I see the same thing you're seeing. I see him like number 2 overall value scores. You know what I mean? Like it's just model darlings all over the place. So,
and he's had a good history. I just want to point out, I think this is like reactionary to history here or something, because
I have no idea. And
he has 4 top 10 finishes in his last 11 times there, which is for him is incredible. However, in the last 5 years, the last 5 times he's played there, I believe he has 1 top 10 finish, and he's missed a cut. He finished 62nd. He finished 56th. I don't think that we have to force this in. I don't know. That's just me.
Well, no. I don't think we have to force it in, but I don't think we have to force it out either. You know what I mean? Like you wanted to force him out.
34% though is too high for me. I don't know.
That, yeah, I get. Yeah, I mean, I only have him like 15% ownership, but because of that, I mean, because I'm seeing everybody's seeing what I'm seeing. I imagine. What's up?
Well done.
You're all done. Do you need me?
I just got a payment. You, your wife.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write it up. So I got like 10 minutes. I gotta write everything up in detail.
Okay.
All
right.
I just want to know all the heat's working, every zone.
You sure?
Yeah. I have 4 air limiters in your system.
Okay, great.
There's 4 spots for air to be removed.
Okay, come to me when you're ready. Okay. Hey. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, but what I was saying is that I have a 15% ownership projection, but even But once everybody gets a hold of this, he'll probably be like 22 or something like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. The other guy you mentioned, Pearson Cootie, I have him as my second best in this range.
Mhm.
So I'm glad that you're on that one. And then the other guy, which I alluded to earlier, which I'm unfortunately going to have to play, is Rico Hoey. It's like, this is no way I'm just letting him beat me.
No, that would be too big a troll. You got to go for a little bit.
It's just not even remotely close. So
yeah.
So I'm going to try that. And those are my top guys in the range.
That makes a lot of sense. All right. Are you getting to much, or is there anybody under 7K that stands out to you especially?
I'm getting nothing. I'll get to, I guess, the top guy when we go through it, but I really don't have anybody that would be getting more than 5% of, if at all.
Yeah, I've got a couple guys. Austin Smotherman playing well right now, should actually be a reasonable, course for him. Playing probably the best golf one of the best golf he's ever played. Ricky Castillo. I wanted just to mention this guy just because he's playing well, and I think we got to start betting on the young guys. Like I always say this, just get the young guys on their way up. And I just think it's overall the right kind of thing to do. Before everybody's playing them. Pearson Cootie, you could have gotten a couple weeks ago at like 1%. Now he's 15% at a tougher court. Like, you know what I mean? I'd rather take advantage of these guys being ignored. Another one who finished second here last year, who is getting completely ignored by the ownership and the projections, is Sami Valimaki. I've got double-digit ownership on Valimaki right now. But it is, other than that, pretty bleak for me. A guy who we've talked about last year and who I like quite a bit. Again, another one of those, if you're ever going to play this guy, this is theoretically the course for him based on everything I've heard. Aldrich Potgetter. So the Potgetter is going to get some of my love. I've got 6% of him, which doesn't sound like much, but he's going to be like unowned. Henrik Norlander is another one that qualified on Monday, and I've just heard a couple people, so I'm getting a few percentages, nothing crazy, but those are the guys who I'm sort of like mixing around. Usually I like to get in the 6K range with like more double-digit owned guys. I just feel like at this tournament, you really don't need to, but maybe that's a reason to maybe force some of it in. But for me, it'd be Valimaki and what's his name? Smotherman is my favorites. Maybe Taylor Moore, Castillo, Gary Woodland. Those would be the guys who are probably just on the outside looking in for me, or maybe just getting 1 or 2 percentage points. Okay, Sheets, we are going to, before we do that, should we do the one and done and then play the game, or should we play the one game and then do the one and done? I think we should
do the one and done. You do the one and done first.
Okay, I'll do my one and done, and I'll just pull up what I've got right now. This is where I'm at. I have Hideki, Homa, and Day. Now, you could make a really good case for waiting on Hideki. The problem is, it's hard these days to know when it's going to be a good time for Hideki. Maybe I save him for the playoffs. It's just something I'm considering. So that Hideki may very well turn into, I don't know actually who it's going to turn into, but I don't want to use superstar golfers. Hideki is not really in that category anymore at the moment. He's just on the next tier, but there's probably like, you could use him at the Masters, and that's always a live bet. So maybe I switch Hideki out. That's the only one I'm really flirting with. I like the idea of an unknown Jason Day and a Max Homa. If you're going to use him, I think that you want to use him early in California. That's my take.
So again, the way you want to do this is you want to pick around. I mean, you want to pick the worst golfer that you have,
right, that
has a chance to win. Okay, basically, that's a basic survivor pool theory anyway. Okay, but you don't want to go too crazy. But I have a couple of guys, and I held my tongue when we were going through them in DFS stuff. My top 2 guys in one and done this week are Jason Day, who you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I like him quite a bit. I'll give you 2 others. Goddard, I like him, and then Cameron Young. These are 3 guys that are rated for me like 25th or so, 30th on my list. Mm-hmm. And they have very, very good chances to win. Like Cameron Young, I have him as like 3rd highest win odds. And he's, I don't know, there are not going to be that many times to use him in the future.
Right.
So I do like Jason Day, though, and I do like Cameron Young, and I do like Goddard. Those are my 3 favorites.
I think that makes a lot of sense. The only, the Cam Young versus Matt Hideki thing is, I think, is a very similar question.
Yep.
Cam Young has finished very, what is he? I mean, he's got like 6 or 7 seconds, you know what I mean, in these major, very tough courses. So you might want to use him later, but you might want to use Hideki later. It's just really hard to know with those two for me.
Yes.
All right, so let's get into the game sheets. Who do you think is winning this tournament? And I'm going to make my little notes. So
I'll go first. I'll say Xander.
So you said you're taking Xander. I am going to take Jason Day.
Ooh, let's go.
I like Jason Day this week. I'm very into this play. And I don't play him that much. The question about is Keegan Bradley too early to use for one and done? I think it's okay. It's not like it's a perfect anything. I wouldn't use him this week, but I don't have any problem with not necessarily saving him either. I don't think that's like the worst thing in the world. All right, sheets under 10K. Who is going to top 5?
I'll go back to Siwoo Kim again.
Siwoo Kim, okay. I think that you play Siwoo more than and by the way, it should have worked last week. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say Hideki. That's my other guy that is high in this range, so I am gonna say Hideki, but I certainly wouldn't have minded saying Goddard. All right, under 9K to top 10.
All right, I'll go with Mav. I'll go with Maverick McNeely.
I like Maverick McNeely, so I'm happy you said that because it's going to force me to play him more. And I am going to say Max Homa.
Ooh.
All right, under 8K to. I should take a look at how we did last week. Actually, I think I have it somewhere. Under 8K to top 20.
I will flip a coin. I will go with Rasmus Højgaard.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put down Rasmus. You're going with, huh?
Yes.
All right, I am going to say. God, I got some things really right last week, and some things really wrong. All right, the guy who I like the most. Maybe this is a little FPS or whatever, but I'm going to go with the guy we just talked about and Thigala.
Under 7K to make the cut. I'll go first because I said I like nobody, and you literally mentioned the 2 guys that are my highest rated guys. So I will take the Ricky Castillo to make the cut.
Oh, okay. I love that. All right. So Castillo, and I have to decide between my 2 highest owns. Smotherman, Potgieter, and Valimaki. I think I'm going to take Valimaki.
And guy over 9K to miss the cut, and then I got to get out of here. I will say,
You're going to take my guy.
No, I'm going to say Harris English.
Okay. He won this last year.
Yeah.
Which means he's definitely going to miss the cut. Boy, I like everybody up here, but I am going to I'm going to say a funny one here. I'm going to say a guy who I actually like for DFS, but JJ Spawn, just because he's got a lot of variance.
All right, guys. Hopefully we do better than I do better than last week. Couldn't do worse. And we'll get him next time.
Sounds good, buddy. All right. Good.